Cops of Reddit, what's the funniest change in, already perfectly legal, behavior people do in front of you when they realize you're there? My favorite story told to me by a co-worker, call him Mike. Mike was fishing on a lake when a game warden walked up. Mike knew this game warden, and knowing that the game warden is on the heavier side, Mike immediately drops his pole and takes off running. The game warden, who thought Mike was fishing without a license, takes off to catch him. Mike leads him on a chase for a while till he stops, looks at the game warden and says, "Wait, I have a fishing license." The game warden was pissed at Mike for making him run through the woods. I'm a probation and parole officer, full law enforcement authority in my state. We regularly do home visits on our offenders to verify their address and make sure they're within the guidelines of their supervision. Almost without fail, everyone is just about to start cleaning whenever we arrive. I'm not there to judge the state of their house. I just want to make sure they're not doing anything blatantly illegal and that the address they gave is valid. But they always point out a completely dry mop with no soap or water around to somehow show that they're good people. Whatever, there's worse things they could be doing. I once pulled over a woman for speeding, and as I'm getting out the car she leans out the driver window and screams, "Officer, I have a gun," while frantically waving both hands out the window. She looked like a swan flapping its wings and making noises. I'm trying to hide my laughter while telling her to step out of the vehicle. I lost it when she wobbled out the car 8 months pregnant and was waddling like a duck. I told her to sit back in her vehicle and I had to recompose myself. We had a civil discussion on the appropriate way to inform a cop you have a firearm without looking like a suicidal lunatic. To this day I will randomly think of the pregnant one woman and laugh. I will never pass a cop. I had a police officer on my left side in the passing lane and I accidentally set my cruise control to 71 on a 70-mile-per-hour HWY. My front bumper wasn't even ahead of the cruiser when the cop broke hard and switched their lights on to pull me over. I will never forget what the dick told me. "Cop, do you know how fast you were going?" Me, "Barely 71. Cop, what color is the sign?" Me, "Black and white." Cop, "There is no gray area. The sign says 70 miles per hour, meaning up to 70. You can go 45, 55, 69.5, but 70 is the maximum. You're very well within getting a speeding ticket." Me, shocked face. "Cop, do you think you're above the law or something? Do you not think you deserve a ticket?" Me, "Honestly, no." This was the actual conversation with a cop in rural desert California. For those who asked, I am a Hispanic female and drive a base model Honda Civic 2017. The newer Civics have a digital speedometer that says the speed. I didn't purposely set it to 71, it's what it stuck at when I finally hit set, and before I could turn it one notch down on cruise control I was already being pulled over. Ending, after I said no, the cop ended up walking to their cruiser for what felt like forever. 5 minutes. He came back and I was shaking in panic, starting to cry because I was honestly scared and extremely anxious of the situation because he was yelling at me and then left so abruptly I had no idea what was going on. I truly felt like he was just trying to upset me to create an altercation, and that is what terrified me. He waited that entire time just to come back and tell me it was within his rights to give me a ticket, but he is choosing not to. Teenagers often run away when seen outside at night. They don't realize that we wouldn't chase them if they just didn't run. It just makes them look like they have done something illegal. They have drugs, alcohol on them, which is often the case. Not a cop but witnessed it. Saw a middle-aged man hide his beer in a planter when he saw a cop. We were in a beer garden. Cop wasn't even on duty yet. He was there to drop off a birthday card to a friend before he started his shift. Side note, daffodils are bad for securing drinks. Beer foul. Edit. So, because this is a commonly mentioned theory, his stunt would make a bit more sense if he was on parole or something else that placed an alcohol restriction on him. Having said that, the city is what you might call busy when it comes to crime. Even if, by some fluke, a cop happened to be aware you were on parole, and in a metro region of several million, that's a big if. The city cops generally have a reputation of somewhat ignoring that kind of stuff unless they already had a bone to pick with you. Of course, it's not unbelievable that a drunk would fail to come up with a play it cool plan. I would like to think his friends, who found all of this rather funny, would have been more concerned if he were on parole though. Granted, crappy friends certainly exist. I still advise against the use of daffodils in concealing a drink that you may or may not be allowed to have. The biggest change I see is people go out of their way to make or break eye contact. Some of the most innocent people stare, watching everything we do. At the same time, the guiltiest person doesn't want to be seen at all. Edit. As an example of how it can work in the opposite direction, just this past Sunday, I engaged with a guy who approached me while at lunch. He started asking me questions about what gun I carry and if I've ever seen Game of Thrones. I talked with him for a bit, got his name and went back to my car after eating. I ran his information and guess what? He had a warrant for assault. I went back into the restaurant and arrested him. Thanks for all the cake day wishes. Ask me anything, I'll do my best to answer. I believe building a healthy and open dialogue is how we can solve most issues. Not a cop, but I watched Cops once. There was this scene with some crackhead being arrested, and this random dog came up really wanting attention. You can see him roaming around while the crackhead is all come on mine, how he said man, to the cops. Finally they go to arrest him and he is taken to the ground to be cuffed. The dog comes up, super excited, and is licking his face while he can't do anything to stop it. So the guy yells come on, doggy mine, and I still laugh about it. I have since looked for the clip, but I can't find it. If anyone knows where, or which episode, I can see this again, I'd be incredibly grateful. I watched it around 2004-5, but it may have been a rerun even then.